All right, family. Black Power. Black Power is the truth hour with General Sarah Sunseti. Kick back, get your mind ready for some information that's guaranteed to be heavy. That's right, family. We're excited and delighted to be accepting members to the Sarah Sunseti YouTube page, the dynamic page. The reference material speaks for itself. You feel me? You feel the frequency. You like the revolutionary energy on Sarah Seti's page. You should become a member. The link right down in the video description. You'll see a link for join. Click that link. You'll get a video, introduction video rundown on the memberships, what they entail. You see one you like, you should most definitely join. Even if you don't, I appreciate your presence here at the Sarah Seti YouTube page. Continue to engage, continue to advance. That's right, family. Ring the alarm. KingSeti.com online marketplace. 25% off selected items at this time. Official General Seti DVD lectures, t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies for the kings, queens, and the children. We got African and Kemetic jewelry. We got a lot of nice collections. We got the Cuban link, ancient Egyptian medallion chains. We got the Dookie ropes with the Egyptian medallions. We got handmade African beads, bracelets, and necklaces from beads from Ghana, from Nigeria. We also got new products on our health and beauty collection. You see lotion for the melanated family. Get your melanin popping. So you should most definitely get over there and check it out. And again, we got 25% off selected items at this time. Save and shop and save, and get you a nice discount while you do it. That's right, family. Pull the fire alarm, generalseti.com, Seti University, over 1,000 videos of pure heat from the general himself. We also got the supplemental documentaries and lectures from the master teachers. You see what I'm saying? And so not only we starting to expand, making it such a grand education, because you're dealing with the general, the lead lecturer, and then you got the master, the grand master teachers that's most definitely backing the research up, expanding on the research. And so it's no better website for the family in this regard to come and get all that African wisdom from the greatest on the planet. You feel what I'm saying? So most definitely get over there, generalseti.com, Seti University. Check it out. Fall in love with it. Become a member today and begin your journey in advanced African academics. That's right. Seti popping on Patreon. BPC making noise. We never calm. Just drop a heavy one on Patreon today. Did aliens build the Great Pyramids? We had to touch on that because too many of our people is in outer space. They don't know how to get back down on the earth. And so we trying to get, some rescue ships up there to get them down. And so this is one of the premier lectures for the family. You understand, where we can look at the pyramids, understand their development, and give our African ancestors credit for their own development, their own megalithic structures. You see, give them their own credit. So make sure you get over there to Patreon. Don't you run, and gain access to over 200 and some odd exclusive lectures that can only be seen on Patreon. Make sure you subscribe to all my YouTube channels: King Seti, General Seti, Sarasun Seti. Rock that notification bell. Get a video a thumbs up. Like it because you love it. Share with your family and friends. And comment. Just don't say nothing stupid, because I will ban your ass. You'll be up out of here. The Dead Sea Scrolls, just more fake ancient artifacts. You see, just more fake ancient artifacts. You see, we just showing you across the board, and how, and we have to do this because they were lauded as such great discoveries. You see, in the biblical world and shit. You see, and I remember that Professor Walter Williams had said that shit was fake. I said it was fake even before I heard him say it was fake. You see what I'm saying? I had clearly said, you know, that this shit was fake. You see, and I noticed, and the one thing that I noticed, and I, you know, across the board, when I started to look at these Greco-Roman so-called philosophers and historians and all it is, I would look and I would try to find the oldest material that, you know, was produced, and not one of them were able to produce a manuscript in the era in which they said they lived. You never found an original document, or even a document that was dated to the time period in which they lived. Now that was very, you know, and that was very critical, you see, to be able to do. And it was what was so funny, that they were finding all these documents almost 1,000 years after the writer was dead and gone. So the oldest one was damn near 1,000 years. They're just like the Torah. You see, complete. Don't let them lie to you. See, the thing is, you got to see if it was mass produced. That was also, you know, that's also necessary in my research. I don't let no motherfucker, because see, they can create frauds. See, and they're very good at this shit. They selling that shit on, you know, they got you know, things that they dip the paper in and shit, make that shit look old. And man, they didn't master this game now. Don't think they didn't master the game now. They know how. They got whole colleges and shit now. Well, you know, and these motherfuckers out here in the game, these is master, you know, forgers and fraudsters, you know, and they masters at it. They not just nobody you could play with. They, a lot of time, the forger is far more advanced than the PhDs in the universities, in the museum. They more advanced than them. So even these so-called PhDs and masters and, you know, and great, you know, curators and this, that, and the third cannot see that this is a forgery. You see, and it takes the most advanced to be able to see this. And so, you know, and that was one of the things that, because when, you know, Egypt set the standard, because they you know, not only did they create literature, they mass produce literature. See, now when you mass produce literature, that means you got a mass effect, you know, of mass awareness. See, mass awareness can only come by way of mass production. You see, and the one thing that you know, Egypt had, where it didn't have the printing press, but what it did, it had mass number of scribes. You see, it was the only civilization in the ancient world that was literate. We talking about the society was literate, just like today, you know, where you would assume that people's is literate. And, you know, they can, you know, most people, you know, you can read, you know, you ain't gonna make it all of, they, you know, the society gonna make sure you at least can read, and, you know the alphabet, and you know some bare minimum words and shit. You're not, you know, you shouldn't be able to get up out of the public schools, even though they ain't teaching you shit. You should at least be able to read. You should be able to write. You see what I'm saying? And so that, you know, and you know, being able to read and write and have a bare minimum vocabulary where you can go into the library and check out some goddamn books and read them. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, be able to grab a piece of paper and write a letter or this, that, and the third. That's being, you know, and so we look at the population and we would assume that at least a vast majority of people could do that. You see, and so when you're talking about the first literate society, I'm not talking about you having a scribe here and having a scribe there. We're talking about the first literate society where the majority of the people in the society could read and write. That's ancient Egypt. Now, they will try to lie to you into, but the thing is that refutes anything that the line Cro-Magnon Neanderthal can spew is the fact that Egypt had so many temples, had so many pyramids, had so many statues, had so many scrolls that we know damn well no one scribe could have did that. You see, not even a few scribes could have did that. You see, not even 1,000. When you look at it, not even 1,000, not even 10,000, not even 10,000. When you look at some temples alone, you see what I'm saying? They didn't leave. I mean, you go into Karnak, you see, and I mean, goddamn, you can see at the beams at the top of the dam, even you can't see no bare place on the stone. You see, even up where they got the capitals and shit, and you look up and you see the beam that's going across the capital. They even got glyphs and scribed. And how in the hell do you go? How can you read it? It's so far up you couldn't even read it, but you see the writing is there. You see what I'm saying? So they wrote over everything. So when you look at one temple alone, you understand what I'm saying? And you would have had to have you literally would have had to have probably thousands of Masonic scribes on that one temple. You see, if it would have been just a few, goddamn it, they would have died before they could even probably do a damn tenth of the temple. They would have died. There's no way. You'd have been, you know what I'm saying? There's no way. And then you think you got all these temples with nothing but writing, and you understand, from the top to the bottom. And then you think about everything that was ever written on in ancient Egypt. You would have had the whole society would have had to be literate for you to create as much artifacts that was created in ancient Egypt. You see what I'm saying? Over a 3,000 year period. It's no way that society was totally literate, where it was mandated that if you, and even the farmers, just because you were a farmer don't mean you wasn't a brother of the craft. You see what I'm saying? And when it was time to plant, that's what you did. But then when the floods came in and the fields had been flooded, then you went into your Masonic know-how. So that's how you know that the brothers was trained in over 12 different arts and sciences. That and as the seasons change, you see how they manifested that. They would come out of the fields, and when the floods was when the fields was flooded, then they went to building the great structures. You see what I'm saying, of ancient Egypt. You see? And so now we looking at, I'm gonna show you the difference. See, and this is where, and see, this is how you know a literate society. You see, this is how you know a literate society. I'm dropping jewels on you niggas now. You see what I'm saying? When you got a literate society, you see, and the majority of the people is literate. You see mass production of books. You see, man, when you go into the library today, man, even a little neighborhood library, you see what I'm saying, could have thousands of books. In that little neighborhood library could have thousands of books. You see, could have thousands of books in that one. And so when you look at them thousands of books you got in the Smithsonian, man, listen here, largest repository of literature on the planet. And so it's so many millions. They got millions of books, recordings, news, millions. You see? In a literate society, that's what you're going to have. You see, when you got millions of people that's literate, you're going to have just mass production of books. There's no way of getting around that. When you go to Greece, you do not have that. You do not have a mass literate society. You don't even have one. And see, the one thing, when you start talking about a one book, see, that's where you get niggas. This is the oldest book. I don't want to see nothing about this is the oldest book. If they say, I will ask the question, what's the oldest copyright? And I ain't gonna say copy. What is the oldest dated manuscript of this culture? And was it mass produced? See, because if it's mass produced, just like you go in, you can have the Bible. The Bible is mass produced. And not only is not one publishing company that's printing Bibles. You see what I'm saying? And so you got hundreds, if not thousands, I would at least say hundreds of publishing houses that are producing Bibles. You see what I'm saying? You're not going to have, so if somebody say, this is the oldest book, see, that's where you get caught up because these motherfuckers is masters at creating forgeries. So one book ain't going to prove shit to me because that could be a forgery, period. Anytime. Was it mass produced? Show me people. What's the date on this book? Okay. Oh, this is 2000 BC. Can you show me any more, you see, production of this book in this society to show me that this, that the people had mass awareness of what's in this book? You understand? Don't come and show me no motherfucking one book and tell me this is I don't give a fuck how old you say this book is. Was it mass produced? If it wasn't mass produced, then it did not have mass awareness because you cannot teach hundreds, thousands, millions of people with one fucking book. When you come in school, you got to have your own fucking book. When you go to sit down, you got to have your own book. It's no way you could teach thousands of people, millions of people with one fucking book. It's no way you could do that. So when you're talking about a society, when you even in school, you go, I don't give a fuck from kindergarten up to college. When you go to college, nigga, you got to go get your own fucking book. You see what I'm saying? Motherfucker, if you got, and I know in public school one time, if they didn't have a book, books for everybody, you had to share a book, but nobody could take the motherfucker home. Who gonna take it home? You see what I'm saying? So you had to keep the motherfucker there, but that show you when you ain't got books, and it's hard in some shit, when you ain't got the goddamn book, you can't take that motherfucker home. You can't study the motherfucker. That makes it extra hard for you to be able to maintain what's in the book and really get it deep down, and you got to have that motherfucker with you. So it's very necessary for each student to have their own book. You see, now, if you see this book and you see thousands and thousands, now, if they come back and say 2023, and I mean, it's over hundreds of, I think billions now of Bibles that have been produced. So if they come back to 2023, and I'm quite sure with over 1 billion goddamn Bibles that they done printed, I'm quite sure that they'll be able to find out of 1 billion, goddamn, at least 1 million. You see what I'm saying? That's how many they would be able to find. If there's a billion Bibles that have been printed in 2023, and say a motherfucker come back 1,000 years from now and do research in this era, out of 1 billion goddamn Bibles printed on this earth, and it might be more than 1 billion, that they would find at least 1 million. Now, if you find 1 million of these books all over the world, and not just say in America, but all over the world, and you find it, you know that whatever you read in this book, that the world had mass awareness of it, that they were aware of this material across the board, that they, you know what I'm saying, no matter what continent you was on, that they had mass awareness. Nah, ain't no way you gonna do that with no one motherfucking book. So see, that's where they fucking over motherfuckers. Because they say, oh, this, bitch, I don't give a fuck how old you say this book. Can you show me another one, even more than that? If not, I know for a fact that the world had no mass awareness of this book. This just like, it's like motherfucking creating something out of thin air. It does not mean shit to me. So when I look at other cultures, they're not in the predicament of ancient Egypt. They do not have mass production of literature. And what I mean by that, when you go and you see Osiris on the walls and on the scrolls, it's pretty standard. You know what I'm saying? You see Osiris sitting on his throne. He's the god of the underworld. He's the god you must see to pass on. And in a mentor, you see the judgment hall of Mayat. Is, even though it changed a little bit here and there, it changes, but the scale, Osiris, Amit, Tahuti, Anubis, Heru. You understand what I'm saying? You see Isis, you see Nephthys, you see Mayat. You see Mayat. It's pretty standard, even though it changed. It's pretty standard. So we conclude that the majority of the people in the Nile Valley had the same view of salvation. They had the same view. We can conclude that because everywhere we see it on the stone, on the papyrus, it's standard. You know why? Because we got thousands and tens of thousands of duplicates of the Hall of Ma'at. We ain't just got one scroll. We ain't just got one drawing. We got hundreds of thousands of duplicates of Osiris and Nephthys and Isis and the scale. It's hundreds of thousands, quite possibly millions. And I'm just shortchanging, quite possibly. So when you got millions of replicas of the Hall of Ma'at and it's standard, we know that the people as a whole was, they saw salvation the same. They, it wasn't all of, but when you come with one book, these people didn't know nothing about this shit in this book you showing me. These people was out here ignorant of anything that you showing in this book. You see, and that's why when Walter Williams said that Christianity did not exist in the way that people think, and that, because number one, let me just tell you something. And just to show you this shit right here is fake. And a lot of the fakes in the oldest is just like the Dead Sea Scrolls. They never in a full book. You see, it's never in a full book. It's always a half a page and shit. And this, that, and this, and, and I'm going to show you some shit. And I tell this over and over. Now, Herodotus, I fucks with Herodotus because Herodotus says some things about ancient Egypt that you don't find nowhere else. He says that they're black, that they're woolly head, and this, that, and the third. And I personally say, you know what? Let me do some research. I want to do some research on Homer. I want to do some research on Herodotus. And I want to find out what is the oldest materials that were produced, because they say Herodotus lived in around 430 BC, somewhere around there. So I wanted to see when was the oldest Herodotus. When was the oldest production of the book of histories that's accredited to Herodotus? And when I looked it up, the oldest manuscript that they had for Herodotus was like the 8th century AD. But yeah, he supposedly lived 400 BC. So here again, you got like a 1200 year gap. Now, when I looked at it was a page. It wasn't even a whole book. It was a page of it. You see what I'm saying? It was like a torn. And I said, okay, now when they looking at the timeline, they had the oldest full book of or books, because it's more than one book. Okay, the books. I don't know how many of them in the histories. It's about maybe 5, 6. It might be more. I think it's about 5 or 6 in that collection. You see, so the oldest full collection was in the 1400s. And I say, that's when Gutenberg created the printing press. And so I thought to myself, I said, well, damn, if the oldest a manuscript of Herodotus is in the 8th century, in the 8th or 9th century AD, and it's a page, and then in the 1400s, you got the oldest complete manuscripts or books of Herodotus in the 1400s. If the oldest is a page, where the fuck did the rest of the book come from? You see, where the fuck did y'all fill in? If this is a page, and I looked the shit up, and in the 8th century, the oldest shit is a page, and then in the 14th century, you got a complete histories of Herodotus. Where the fuck did you get the rest of the stories from? Because in the 8th century, which is the oldest, you only got a page. You only got half a page. I say, what the fuck is this? What is this shit? You see, and even then it came 1,200 years after he supposedly lived. So that right there is, even though he said, and you want to attach and say, you know what, Herodotus says that Herodotus, just like Walter Williams said, seems to be a fraudulent Greek. And though the Cro-Magnon Neanderthal revealed how he felt about Egypt, he still feel that they was black. You see what I'm saying? That they were black, they were woolly hair. You see, I have a very serious problem with the authentication of Herodotus and his work, right along with the rest of the Greeks. Because at that time, number one, they did not have an alphabet. They did not have an alphabet until they come into Egypt. See, once you understand that, and it's a fact, because if they had an alphabet, if they had paper, and even when we talk about the instruments of literacy, the pen, the paper, you see what I'm saying? Paper come from papyrus. I don't give a fuck what nobody tell you. You see what I'm saying? They was and motherfucker talking about they writing on animal skins and shit. Nigga, ain't nobody writing on it. Nah. Ain't nobody fucking writing on no animal skins and no goddamn goat skins and shit. What kind of shit is that? You see, when we talking about the most advanced technology in the literary world, it came out of Africa. When they saw what the African were doing, it was no more advancement that you can add to that. Paper. You see what I'm saying? Paper. That's what's up. You see what I'm saying? You can write, even right now today, man, you can get stacks and start, putting your information down on there. It has not been advanced at all. It has not been advanced. It is still beyond typing or any of that thing, because when you write, you see what I'm saying? There's magic in that. You see what I'm saying? It's coming straight from your mind to that pen, and it's fluent. You see what I'm saying? It's fluent. Typing is one thing, but that ain't like that pen. That pen and that mind, together is magic. You see what I'm saying? And so you can just scribe and scribe and scribe. You feel me? It opens up chambers in the mind that only writing can do. You see, that's why it was looked at as magic. And you see, Tahuti, even though he's the author of the sacred Medunetta and so on, and language and alphabet and this. He was also considered the deity of magic. You see, spelling and spells and so on and so forth. You see, and so so when we look at the instruments of the literary world, all of that come out of Africa. And I asked the motherfuckers, I say, well, damn, if you was writing before, if you was writing before African people, what the fuck was you writing it on? Because it couldn't have been paper, because paper come from papyrus. You see what I'm saying? It couldn't have been paper. So whatever you say you was writing on, goddamn it was inferior, and you didn't have no alphabet. You didn't have no alphabet. You did not have a literary world, because here we can come to Egypt. We don't need no excuse. Here it is. I don't want to hear nothing about where here it is, motherfucker. We don't need no interpretation. Here it is. We got millions of documents, whether it's in stone, whether it's in papyrus, whether it's on the coffin text, whether it's on statues. We have it. We don't, here it is. I don't want to hear nothing about no motherfucker trying to fraudulate and come up. Where is it? I don't want to hear nothing but here it is. And you do not have it. You do not. The Greeks do not have it. The Romans do not have it. The Arab do not have it. The Persian do not have it. No other people, even the Indian, the so-called Indian over there in India, who claims to be as ancient as they, and when you dig deep into what, and believe you me, I give India its credit, because our people, the Kushites, that was one of the earliest colonies once they left Africa. That's a fact. So outside of Africa, India is primarily the most advanced civilization outside of Africa. You see, but it's still within the Kushite Empire. We have to understand that, and that the earliest part of that society was created by the Kushite. You see, and they know that. That's why you see Kush on everything over there. They know that. Now they can play dumb if they want to, but it only take just a little tightening of the screw, and they ass will come to their senses. You see, but they do not have the production of manuscripts, and they claim to be ancient. They even, they try to take themselves out of the fold of the Ethiopian Empire and try to stand on their own. And when they do that, then it becomes clear, you understand what I'm saying, that they put themselves in a very vulnerable position, because we're going to ask the necessary questions and we want the necessary answer. If the ancient Egyptian got all of their temples is in the BC period, every last fucking one of them are in the BC period. There is no ancient Egyptian temples, but papyruses or anything that is not in the BC era. India is in the now we talking about ancient Egypt, okay? It morphed into, but we just gonna deal with the Egypt from the first dynasty to the 25th dynasty. All of the megalithic structures, all of the writing are in the BC era. India is not on that level. Most of the temples that they got over there in India, because the more ancient temples that belong to the Kushites in the south, they destroyed them. That's also documented. They were more on the Masonic calculations of the Egyptian temple. You see a lot of the stone down there in the south, where you got the shore temples. You got, especially in that southern region, they made out of stone. You see what I'm saying? And the Masonic calculations of the temple come from ancient Egypt. They destroyed a lot of that. You see what I'm saying? And so you got a more newer, less ancient temples over there today. And so when you look at the majority of the temples that are standing in India today, they are in the AD period. Do not let them fool you on that. They are in the AD period, no matter what they telling you. Now, some of them, there are some over there that are in the BC period. I ain't saying none of them are in the BC period, but the majority of the ones that are over there that they show, the majority of the ones that people are going over there touring and this, that, those temples are from the AD period. And that's a fact. So they're not even close to being on the level of ancient Egypt, period. Okay? They do not have a collection of ancient manuscript. Every manuscript from ancient Egypt is from the BC era. All of them. 100%. Now let's see if India can match scroll for scroll, temple for temple. Let's do this shit. Let's get this shit over with, man. I'm tired of talking. You understand what I'm saying? Get the motherfucker Prevon, whatever the fuck his name is. I done told him, goddamn it, I done put his goddamn name in hashtag. Get with me. Get with me. I'm going to work out on your ass. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to have your ass bowing down to the Kushite king, the African king. You going to do that. You see what I'm saying? I'm guaranteeing defeat. You see? And you know better than that to even bring that shit this way. You see, but to, you know, a lot of times you have to step to them because they take our, and we ain't even being kind. We just not stepping up to the plate to defend our culture. You understand? Like we supposed to. But, so no culture on this planet has a literary collection, historical collection like Africa, not even in no type of comparison. You see? And so when you start seeing these books like the Dead Sea Scroll, now I got off into it. I didn't even bring up the fact that they found that out of the so-called, I forget how many actual scrolls it was. They say Museum of the Bible says 5 of its most famed artifacts is fakes. It's fakes. Which, and how it take them so long because they found the goddamn the so-called scrolls supposedly in 1947. And so now they coming to find that, 5 of them are fakes. You see, 5 of them are fakes. And so, and so when you start going across all these museums and shit, a lot of this shit that is lauded as scientific, historical, mind-blowing finds and shit is nothing but forgeries that have been created in the basement of some goddamn master forgerer. You see, and they got these type of motherfuckers all over the planet, and I'll be going on the internet and I'll be seeing shit from all over the world. They be having, you know what I'm saying? It's sites that supposedly sell that shit. You be having shit from Carthage, and shit, it could be little statues that they got up there for 2,000, 3,000. I say, where the hell is they getting this from? You know what I'm saying? Where are they getting this from? And I'm thinking to myself, this shit can't be real. But the dollar signs up there, they actually selling this shit for $5,000, $6,000. And I'm thinking to myself, where is, and why would the nation allow them to sell, go up on the internet and sell artifacts like that? I'm thinking to myself, this is like, wow, man, that the historical world is being sold on the market like some cheap shit like that. I say, damn, man, how did these thieves get their fucking hands on this shit? And the reality is they got whole colleges of motherfuckers creating fraud every day, and they put this shit in museums and universities, and the motherfuckers in the universities don't even have the fucking qualifications to tell if it's real or not, because the shit stay on the shelf for 40 and 50 fucking years before somebody comes out and says it's a fake. They found these motherfuckers in 1947. I mean, how long does it take? I mean, do you know how many motherfuckers? Listen to me, y'all. Let me tell y'all something, and I'm gonna move on to the next. Do you know how many supposedly top scholars that then looked at the Dead Sea Scrolls since 1947? Do you hear what the fuck I'm telling y'all? They just found this shit out. When the date? Listen. Let me see when they found. They talking about in 2017. 2017. So this shit been sitting up there, man. You see what I'm saying? That shit been sitting up there for over 50-some goddamn years. That shit been sitting up there for over 50-some goddamn years, man. Because you know more than that. Because you're talking about from 1947. Yeah, 57, 67. 60 years. 60 years. 60 years. 60 years. Over 60 years. And these motherfuckers just not finding this out. But what I'm trying to say is how many top scholars had an opportunity to study these damn scrolls? Because you got books on them. You see what I'm saying? They didn't supposedly produce the Dead Sea Scrolls in publication. You know? And so it took them that goddamn long, man, to find out that this shit was fake. And that's the reality of the scientific world. That's the reality of it. That shit just as fake as religion. Period. That shit just as fake as motherfucking religion. So don't get it twisted. You see what I'm saying? It's just another system of lies that they conjure up to produce like they know it all, and that you know that, and come to find out it's just fake. It's fake as a goddamn $3 food stamp. That's all it is. And so, family, I want to move on to the last video tonight. We'll start. I have 4 up there. We'll start the other ones tomorrow early. So if you're up, you'll get a chance to wake up with the general, because I'm gonna hit you early tomorrow before noon. So this is gonna be a first. So, and I'm gonna be on point too. I ain't gonna be taking no goddamn prisoners. So come right back, family, so we can end it off. This is General Sarah Sunseti saying, hey, arm yourself with knowledge. Bang on that wicked ass beast daily. Liberation through African education and confrontation. Black power.